soon as I get the nod. All right, the October 3rd City of Vandalia Council meeting is now called to order. We'll start with a moment of reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have no minutes to approve, and that brings us to communications, petitions, and awards. And next we have the introduction and oath of office for Police Officer Travis Mullins.
Well, today, Your Honor, we're appointing one of our own, a Vandalia Butler graduate, and so a Butler High graduate. I'll invite Chief Oldhouse to introduce Police Officer Travis Mullins, and then we'll invite him up for his swear-in and pinning.
All right, well, it's another exciting time, another exciting day in the Vandalia Division of Police. This is sort of a heartwarming story because Travis is a young man who grew up here in town and I think is an example of what our officers' interactions with youth and students throughout our community can produce for us down the road. Just a little bit backstory here, and then I'll read a little bit about him. So he grew up very close or right across the street from Lieutenant Ben Walker when Ben had started here. And so they had some daily interactions, and perhaps some of that influenced him in making his decision to join the ranks of law enforcement. So it is my privilege to welcome Mr. Travis Mullins to join us as a probationary police officer. He began with us last week. He'll have his swearing in officially today. He graduated from Vandalia Butler High School in 2012 and attended Sinclair Community College, where he graduated in 2014 with a degree in criminal justice. For the last 5.5 years, he's been a trooper with the State Highway Patrol, predominantly working here in the Montgomery County area. I know in my personal interactions with him when he's worked a couple of events here in town, National Night Out, Pizza with the Police, and other things, he's always been very pleasant to work with, just a bright young man, comes with a great attitude. So we're excited that he has decided to join our ranks here. So I'll welcome him up for the swearing in.
And Officer Mullins, will you please bring your parents up here as well? We're a family employer here.
Raise your right hand, please. I, Travis Mullins, solemnly swear
I, Travis Mullins, solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and will obey the laws of the United States
and will obey the laws of the United States
and the state of Ohio,
and the state of Ohio,
that I will in all respects
that I will all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of the City of Vandalia,
and the ordinances of the City of Vandalia,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties
of police officer
of police officer
within the Division of Police.
within the Division of Police.
Congratulations, Chief.
Should we have Mom do it? Thank you. All right. Well, congratulations, Officer Mullins. We're looking forward to having you work here in the city of Vandalia, so welcome.
Thank you, sir.
All right. All right, at this time, when I give people the opportunity to leave if they don't want to hang around too.
Yes, please.
All right, as we move on with our agenda, if anyone would like to leave, this would be a good opportunity because we're going to move on to,
Wait, sit down. It's about to get good. No, I'm just kidding.
okay, we have no public hearing, and that brings us to comments from interested citizens. So if anyone would like to make a comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and your comment.
But he's got notes.
All right, come prepared.
Almost prepared. Tom Grice, 10400 North Castle Road. To thank the mayor, the council members, and city manager for the opportunity. There are three issues I'd like to bring up for your consideration. One of them would be specific to tonight. For starters, I know you had the council retreat to discuss the rate increase for the utilities. And I believe you've come to a conclusion as to what an appropriate series of rate hikes would be. I saw there's a first reading of an ordinance on the agenda, so I assume that there has been at least some level of agreement that has been reached. I would ask that, and when you address that ordinance, if you would be so kind as to share with the citizens the various options that were considered and what made this particular option the one of choice. Just to get an idea of how thoroughly the thoughts were considered.
What we decided to do is, rather than having the entire increase up front, is we're spreading it out over a number of years. So I believe we're going 30% in the first year, 25% and 25%. We're phasing it in over time.
Understand, I'm curious as to what other options were considered and rejected in lieu of that one, or were there no other options considered?
Tom, basically, the options are we can spread it out over a longer period of time, lessen the percentage of increases, but we have a certain amount of, and I don't have the number off the top of my head, but we have a target amount of capital that we have to raise. And the longer that we deferred those increases, the bigger the hole we dug. And so it looked like we could spread the initial increase, the amount of money we needed over a period of several years at the referred to percentages of the mayor. And that seemed the best way to approach it. I can't be much more specific than that, but we need to hit that target amount of cash or capital in those funds in order to pay for the capital improvements that are facing us for the infrastructure, and principally that's, water and sewer.
No, with all due respect, I understand that. My question is, were there other options that were considered, whether it be one entire jump at the beginning?
Yes, and I'm presenting on them on this agenda.
Thank you. That was my question, was what options were considered, and could those be explained to the citizens so they could understand why you chose the one you do? And that would be something that I don't think at least in my experience being here, I haven't necessarily seen those outside of the study sessions. And since it wasn't addressed in a study session, because it wasn't tonight's study session.
I actually don't think that's true, since I presented on it at the last council meeting, so.
Well, but the last council meeting did not discuss the options for the financing, and that was the point of the question. So if it's covered, I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. The second issue would be whether or not council can share with the citizens whether there's been any progress towards addressing the concern over the abundance of warehouses in the area.
We've not received any update from our council. Does Jerry want to comment on any?
Yes, as I told, actually, this morning, Mr. Wendt, I had a couple attorneys doing some research on various issues that are involved, and I should be having a memo to Mr. Wendt this week, kind of pros and cons of different options that may be available.
All right, thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
I would just point out that I anticipate that that'll be in an attorney-client document, at least in its version that I received from the city's attorney.
Understand. As is mine. I would also request council to consider whether or not there are options, or at least to evaluate whether there are options, to work with the Butler Township trustees on the warehouse issue. I view the warehouse issue as a community issue. Much of Butler Township is interlaced with Vandalia. And so I view this as not just a Vandalia issue, and I realize you have no control over what happens outside of the city limits of Vandalia. But I believe there may be opportunities to work with the township trustees to increase the influence that both organizations have to guide this community as it develops. And I don't know what those options are. I don't know if they exist. I'm just asking you to consider that as an evaluation, because if you look at the zoning map for Vandalia and look at the Butler Township, and the classic example is Engle Road. Okay, you have a thin slice of Butler Township in the middle of slicing into Vandalia. You have Butler Township surrounding Vandalia in large part. And so I believe that the warehouse concern is a mutual concern. I know the citizens of Butler Township are concerned, and I believe there are opportunities potentially that you guys could work together to have a greater influence in the area. An example of that might be the recent mutual aid agreement. Together, you guys might have a little more influence with the city of Dayton. Maybe not, but things to consider. Do you have that ability to potentially increase your political influence by joining hands with your?
And we're always open to
With your
working with the
neighbors.
township. We are one community, and we all recognize that.
Right, I just don't know that anything's been done on this particular issue. I'd ask you to at least consider that as an option. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a comment? Okay, I'll close the public hearing, and we'll move on to the city manager's report, where we have some information items and an action item. Mr. Wendt.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I will say that we have thorough conversations always with our peer governments, Monroe Township, our county commissioners, Butler Township. Really excited this weekend, Fall Festival. It's our second Fall Festival, October 8th, noon to 6 p.m. at Art Park. Last year, not only did we have beautiful weather, we had beautiful attendance. This is such a good event. I hope that you're able to attend it this weekend. Leaf collection, it's already around the corner. It's starting October 10th, so we've got the map and list of cities on the website. That's going to be coming. Two other items for your consideration. I've listed when our budget workshops are. It's already time to be doing that. We've been working on it since July. For the 2023 budget, we'll have a workshop on October 11th and October 18th, starting at 5 p.m. That'll be in the community room at the Justice Center. It'll be long. And then, of course, Beggar's Night, always October 31st, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. For everyone from Northern Ohio. That's also called Trick or Treat. And then finally, if you'd like, Your Honor, I'll move right into the action item that the police chief discussed. This is Ohio Department of Liquor Control notifying the city of Vandalia of an application from Bolcom Event Decor and Rentals LLC, doing business as Grandeur Event Center LLC, located at 3119 Stop 8 Road. The police chief and the police department are not requesting a hearing for this, and I see no reason to go against that recommendation.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve no Ohio Department of Liquor Control hearing for 3119 Stop 8 Road.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Blakesley and a second by Councilwoman Forrest not to request a hearing for the DBA Grandeur Events Center located at 3119 Stop 8 Road. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Ayers,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. We have no old business, and that brings us to our first resolution of this evening, that being Resolution 22-R-63. Mr. McDonald?
A resolution accepting the dedication of Park Center Drive as public right-of-way.
Thank you. Mr. Went?
Thank you, Your Honor. The applicant, Redwood Living, has requested the dedication of Lot 3 of the Redwood Section 1 plat, being 1.1012 acres of land as public right-of-way. This dedication will dedicate the eastward extension of Park Center Drive. At its meeting on September 13th, 2022, the Planning Commission voted 3-0 to recommend approval of this request.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 22-R-63 as presented.
Second?
I have a motion by Councilwoman Forrest and a second by Vice Mayor Lewis to approve Resolution 22-R-63 as presented. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 22-R-64.
A resolution awarding the bid for the Foley and Enola Drive reconstruction project requested by the Public Works Department to Double J Construction at the lowest and best bid price of $1,161,148.
Thank you. Mr. Went?
Thank you, Your Honor. Sealed bids were publicly opened for the Foley and Enola Drive reconstruction project on September 12th. 8 sets of specifications were purchased by contractors. 7 contractors submitted bids for the project. They ranged from approximately $1.163 million to $1.325 million for the base bid. The city had just appropriated $967,500 in the 2022 capital improvement budget for the project. That's out of various funds, including safe and stable water, sanitary sewer, storm sewer. The alternate bid was for the option to use the PVC water main in lieu of the ductile iron. Service Director Rob Cron noted the minimal cost between the ductile iron and the PVC, and so we decided to go ahead with the ductile. When final plans were completed for this summer, our engineer's estimate was $1,150,000. Tonight, I'm going to ask that we pass that supplemental for those amounts. And so this will be contingent on passage of the supplemental later in the meeting. We've been awarded grant funding in the amount of $400,000 from the Ohio Public Works Commission for this project. We completed the engineering and design work for the project in-house to save costs. And with bidding the project late this year and the lead time on materials, this probably won't start until spring of 2023, with a completion date of approximately August 4th, 2023. In consideration of the foregoing, I'm recommending that the bid be awarded to Double J Construction as the lowest and best bidder at their bid price of $1,163,148 with their base bid.
161.
Yes. my
That number
apologies.
disagrees with the one I have here on 22R64 at 1161. I think you said 1163.
One mil, what is this right here? Look. I've got the same number that's showing right here in the ordinance. Oh, of course, in the title and in the ordinance, it's saying different numbers. Rob?
The bid says 1163.
1163 is what that has to be, so,
Very good.
Mr. Law Director, how would you like to navigate that?
It's just, it's a typo in the resolution.
Yep.
And it was, in the other documents, it's clear that it's 163, so we just, we will make that change when we finalize the resolution.
Very good.
All right. Have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to approve Resolution 22-R-64 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Follick and a second by Vice Mayor Lewis to approve Resolution 22-R-64 as presented. Any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Follick?
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers?
Yes.
Councilmember Woods?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 22-R-65.
A resolution consenting to the Bridge Inspection Program Services with the Ohio Department of Transportation for 2023.
Thank you. Mr. Wendt?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I'd recommend entering into an agreement with ODOT, Ohio Department of Transportation, to perform the bridge inspection on the 9 bridges owned by the city. ODOT performs the inspections at no cost to the city. We've passed similar legislation for the past 3-year agreements. With current funds available, they've agreed to renew for us for calendar 2023 and hopefully get back to the 3-year agreement cycle. Just as a reference, we've got 2 bridges on Farrell, 1 on Helke, 2 on Airport Access, 1 on Brown School Road, 1 on Weiss Road, and Poplar Creek as well, and 1 on Johnson Station.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move that we approve Resolution 22R65 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Lewis and a second by Councilman Blakesley to approve Resolution 22-R-65 as presented. Are there any comments from council? Call the roll.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Follick?
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers?
Yes.
Councilmember Woods?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 22-R-66.
A resolution accepting the tax year 2022-2023 amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Thank you. Mr. Wendt?
Thank you, Your Honor. This item is largely a matter of housekeeping. It allows us to accept the amounts and rates for tax year 2022. The Montgomery County Auditor noted the amounts and rates are subject to change due to election results and value changes. The revenue estimates continue to be at about 95% collection, and I've included a memo and the local government fund distribution estimates for calendar year 2023. This was provided by the Montgomery County Auditor.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 22-R-66.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Ayers and a second by Councilwoman Fairst to approve Resolution 22-R-66. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Woods?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Follick?
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. That brings us to Resolution 22-R-68. To Mr. McDonald.
A resolution to enter into an agreement with United Healthcare for healthcare administration.
Thank you. Mr. Wendt?
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff has determined that it's in the city's best interest to administer a calendar year renewal and to enter into an agreement with United Healthcare, or UHC, for administration of benefits. January renewals less confusing for employees. It aligns the max out-of-pocket and the deductibles and tends to provide better rates and discounts. UHC offers the most attractive fiscally responsible opportunities for the city of Vandalia, its employees, and their family. This legislation does not alter the plan design, coverage, or premium.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move that we approve Resolution 22R68.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Lewis and a second by Councilman Ayers to approve Resolution 22-R-68. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Ayers?
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 22-R-69.
A resolution authorizing an agreement with the Worksite Group for a benefits administration system.
Thank you. Mr. Wendt?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. This is the technology that we use in order to administer open enrollment. It is principally paid for out of the ancillary services, and so that's the voluntary life insurance, accidental death, the stuff that employees can opt into, and all of those other ones. So there's very little cost impact to the city, if any, and just need the ability to authorization to enter into this agreement.
All right, thank you. Have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve Resolution 22R69.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Blakesley and a second by Councilman Follak to approve Resolution 22-R-69 as presented. Are there any comments?
Are these one-year agreements, or do we revisit this every year?
I'm not actually sure about that. I can get back to you. We're
Okay.
just trying to make open enrollment this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Are any other comments?
I appreciate that the coverage, or the cost is ancillary, and I like Ms. Brzezinski's term was ultra minimal cost. I think we need to use that term more often.
All right. Any other comments? Call the roll?
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. We have one ordinance in its first reading, that being Ordinance 22-35. Mr. McDonald?
And just want to remind council, this was at a first reading before. It came back as a second reading. It's back in the first reading. It kind of sounds a little confusing, but the bottom line is, in our charter, we can't amend something at the second reading, and we didn't. So what we call it doesn't really matter. It's just that this ordinance is now here for the first reading. It will be moved forward and then voted on in the second. So we are
Okay.
consistent, but you might notice that it has the same ordinance number, and that's just so we didn't have to
Okay.
otherwise terminate the first one.
All right.
And with that, I'll read it. An ordinance amending Vandalia Codified Ordinances, Section 104211, 104406D, and 104528 regarding water, sewer, wastewater treatment, and stormwater drainage rates.
Thank you. Mr. Wendt?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is the ordinance that was passed to the second reading, modified at the request, and the ordinance will appear for the first time in its present form today on October 3rd. Second and final reading is proposed for adoption at October 17th, that council meeting. The ordinance approves the amendment of the Vandalia Codified Ordinance Sections 1042.11, 1044.06 Delta, and 1045.28 regarding the water, sewer, wastewater treatment, and stormwater drainage rates. Adjusting these rates will ensure adequate funds are available to meet regulatory mandates and needs related to operating, maintenance, and capital projects. I'll just give you a brief rundown. The ordinance is up here. It lists the rates and lists the times, the timetables of when they take effect. There was thorough research that was done into many scenarios over a 6-month period. We probably saved about $100,000 doing this in-house, working with the folks at NAWA. I know that we saved that because we had a proposal and then I didn't move forward with it. With our folks at NAWA and also Tri-Cities, we've of course engaged engineers in Tri-Cities to understand the wastewater treatment plant. I give a very extensive presentation regarding the capital needs and operating needs at our plants and within our wastewater collection and our water distribution systems, as well as storm. I won't go through those. I'll cut to the chase. Regarding the options that were provided, I think we looked out into 5 and 10 years and understanding that I think present day sewer rates are 9% lower than they were in the year 2000. That's a point of concern. When you forecast out what the capital needs are, you result at about a $39.8 million deficit out into year 2032. And so, of course, option A is generally take no action. In the need to maintain solvency and understanding that we've held the rates low, we've done a good job doing that. It is necessary to propose several increases. I presented to you several options. I'll talk to you about what those resulted in. Ultimately, I'm proposing that the sewer revenue go from $6.61 as a minimum bill up about $5 per month, so $60 a year, to $11.57. That'll be for first bill 2024, first bill 2025, up to $17.35, another $5 increase or so on the minimum bill. It's pretty much the same, a little bit over $5 into 2026. Am I reading this right? Yes, I am.
Mr. Went,
Yeah,
I think you said first bill 2024, but it's first bill 2023.
that is exactly what I wanted to say. And so I'm a year ahead of myself. It goes up into 2023, 1157, 1735 for 2024. 2025, it goes up another $5 to 2256. And then into 26, it goes up another $5 or so to 2820. And then up to $35.24. Following that, what I would propose is maintaining with what historic inflation has been for our MSA. And so looking at that, that's about 2.25%. And what I'm presenting is legislation that shows that 2.25% escalator thereafter for sewer. There were several other options which were considered that were lower than that. Those options resulted in negative fund balances after 5 years. One of the things that I want to bring to council's attention as we go to pass our budgets, we'll look at our year-to-year fund balances. Those will look lower in the next couple of years as we pass those. That's because we know there's a big tide with the stalled rates, especially with sewer, and so those will look bad for a couple of years, and then they're going to start to get better. So that's what I anticipate occurring with this more gradual increase. Prior we looked at going from $6.61 to $19.50 and then having very minimal 40 or 50 cent increases on the minimum bill every year after that. Understanding the desire to spread that out, that's what we've presented to you. Less significant increases that we looked at resulted in negative fund balances. I'll move from sewer into water, if that's acceptable. Looking out to the 10-year forecast, option A being take no action, resulted in a negative fund balance of $28.5 million, almost $28.6 million. We've gone ahead and have proposed that the 2023 rate, the minimum bill, go from $14.80 on water to $25.90 per month. It'll just go up. I'm sorry, I misspoke. That was an original proposal, and then 2.25%, or just a couple of cents thereafter in the prior proposal. The one that I've presented to you today, it goes from just $14.80 up about less than $5 to $19.24. It then goes to $25.01, $31.27, $39.08, and $48.85. And so there's a more gradual increase as we go through. After that, the proposal being that it goes up 2.25% for the same reason mentioned before. I think that's going to provide sustainability for that. At the end of 5 years for that, City Council, we've established a policy of carrying 25% over expenses. And so that gets you about $115,000 over, a little over $115,000 above where you want your fund balance to be after 5 years. So that solves that 5-year problem. Of course, with a large-scale utility, you know, that's one public emergency away. And so there isn't a lot of fluff that is in there, but I do think that that will be good considering the needs of the system and the needs for meters. Finally, with stormwater, the presentation that I brought before you, we're seeing a proposal here. Currently, the rate is $2.30. That's per equivalent residential unit. And I would propose increasing that to $2.88 up to $3.60 in year 2024, $4.50 in 2025, in 26, $5.63, $7.03 in 27. That's going to result in the ability to do some good stormwater projects. You're going to end up with an unencumbered fund balance of about $828,000 at the end of 5 years. Again, given the age of your sewers and understanding storm sewer collapse, we just had one that occurred by Crown lift trucks. We do have aging infrastructure, and so this is our best guess as we move forward. And again, this was one where if we took no action, we're probably going to go $2.3 million into the hole with given and forecasted expenses up into 2032. So looking far out, there are other proposals that were considered and presented. They did not yield the fund balance requisite that was necessary. And so I would just ask that council pass this in a first reading and for consideration and adoption as we move forward in the budgeting cycle for October 17th.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to approve ordinance number 22-35 in the first reading.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Pollak and a second by Councilman Blakesley to approve ordinance 22-35 in its first reading. And the other thing I want to say is, appreciate all the effort that staff went into bringing us multiple scenarios. And as our vice mayor and city manager mentioned, there's certain balances that we have to hit because we do have an aging infrastructure and we know that we're going to have some major expenses going forward. This isn't easy on any of us, but I do appreciate their willingness to go back and take another look at this and see about bringing some other solutions to this. And I think we've arrived at a good solution that should please everyone. Is there any other comments?
I just have two real quick. First is that I think when council gave staff feedback and direction a couple weeks ago, I mean, obviously the upfront larger increase would be best operationally because we have a need that's pretty in the short term, especially in the sewer fund. But knowing that the economy the way it is, I think staff very wisely came back with a kind of a modified solution that allows us to phase that increase in over several years that we're all a lot more comfortable with. The last thing I just want to caution, because I know that some people may be looking at stuff that was presented or provided as part of the blue letter or our council packets. I know the city manager spoke about the fund balance at the end of the 5-year, but 10-year projections were also provided to council. And I just want to caution everyone, because when you look at those, both the water and the sewer funds show fund balances over $7 million. But I think it's important to realize that that doesn't take into account any capital expenses in years 6 through 10, correct? That are planned out.
There are some placeholders that are within it. So, for instance, water line replacement, debt service on known projects. And the other thing that I would point out is that when you think about the price tag of a wastewater treatment plant and upgrading it from its 1985 model, and looking at $60 million, if you take 7.5 million and you figure it's $750,000 a year, that you can hardly move a pipe in a wastewater treatment plant for that is, 36 inches in diameter, or 2 feet in diameter. So, yeah.
But, and just looking at like something we passed tonight, I mean, the Foley Enola project is over $1 million. So, we know that there are other projects that are going to be planned in those years 6 through 10 that are going to very quickly eat up that $7 million. So it's not like we have a $14 million surplus slush fund at the end of 10 years. It's going to be spoken for every year as we move forward in the capital improvements project or program.
And as a reminder, these are enterprise funds, and we can't fiduciarily be responsible for, or unresponsible for having these fed by general fund. They have to generate their own, and this is the only way to do that. So, as we've talked about before, so we really don't have a choice. But as everyone else has discussed, I think this is the best of all the worlds. It's an easier into it. It still provides the capital that we're looking for and the fund balance at the end that we'll need. So, thanks again for staff for helping out.
Any other comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Farst,
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, the motion carries 7-0. We have no ordinances in their second reading, and we do have an emergency ordinance, that being Ordinance 22-38. Mr. McDonald?
An ordinance to revise appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Vandalia, Montgomery County, Ohio, during calendar year ending December 31, 2022, and amending Ordinance 2131 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Wendt?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. This ordinance is quite extensive, and there are many reasons for each of the supplementals that we've put. We discussed this at our last meeting when the finance director presented. I would just say there are increases in the general fund, the FEMA Special Revenue Fund, Stormwater Fund, Police Fire Street Fund, Community Development Block Grant Fund, Fire Equipment Fund, Facilities Improvement Fund, Bond Retirement Fund, Golf Fund, Water Fund, and Sewer Fund. And if there are any specific questions, I'd be happy to address those.
Thank you. Since this is an emergency ordinance, I'll open a public hearing, so if anyone would like to speak on this ordinance, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record and your comment. Being none, I'll close the public hearing. Can I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to approve ordinance number 22-38 as an emergency.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Follak and a second by Vice Mayor Lewis to approve ordinance 22-38 as an emergency. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Farst,
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have reports from boards and commissions. We have a variance request for a drive-through audible device at 3324 Benchwood Road. Mr. Wendt?
Thank you, Your Honor. The applicant, Mr. Joe Youst, has requested a variance to allow a drive-through audible device within 150 feet of a residential property at 3324 Benchwood Road. The proposed financial institution would feature a drive-through on the east side of the building, approximately 110 feet from the adjacent residential property. At its meeting on September 14th, 2022, the Board of Zoning Appeals voted 5-0 to recommend approval with the following condition: that the applicant erects a fence along the west property line no further than the front of the building line of the adjacent house.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve the variance on 3324 Benchwood Road.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Ayers and Councilman Blakesley to approve the variance for the drive-through audible device at 3324 Benchwood Road. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers,
Yeah,
Vice Mayor Lewis,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. We have the BZA minutes of September 14th, the Planning Commission minutes of June 28th, and also the Planning Commission meeting minutes of September 13th. Are there any comments on those?
Your Honor, real quick, I think the minutes from the BZA, I think there's a typo on the condition, because the condition was on the west side, correct? And in the minutes, it says the east side for the fence. Is that,
There was some discussion on that
well,
earlier.
I think in our
I was
packet,
trying to
I think
look at-
I think one was corrected, but the actual
Yes.
minutes still show the east side of the,
So for tonight's purposes and passage of the item, we did make the correction. There was an error that did reflect. So the minutes reflect what was stated in the meeting, but we'll go back
Okay.
and make that amendment as well for the minutes. So thank you.
Thank you. And that brings us to council comments. We'll begin with Mr. McDonald.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
All right. Mr. Wendt.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Councilman Ayers.
I'm good, thank you.
Councilman Follak.
just real quick, congratulations to the fire division for their open house yesterday afternoon. Stopped out there for a little bit, and there was a good crowd, free Kona ice, and I think the painting of the ambulance is always a big hit where the kids get to finger paint on the ambulance, so it was a good crowd, so congratulations to the fire division for that. And I just wanted to offer congratulations to former council member Jack Shirley on his induction into the Vandalia Butler Hall of Achievement last week as one of the school's alumni that were inducted into the Hall of Achievement. So congratulations to Mr. Shirley. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Fairst.
Just welcome Officer Travis Mullins. It's great. It's just exciting to get new police officers with the city. Also, thank you to staff. We had a great workshop last week. Those are always inspiring and helpful to really have open dialogue and go over all the issues that we're facing. And I appreciate all the work the staff puts into this, because we are given a notebook with all kinds of information. It's very extensive, and then we are able to have that dialogue, which I really think affords council an opportunity to really work things through. And so, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's it. Thank you.
All right, and all those workshops are open to the public, so everyone's invited if they would like to attend. Next, we have Councilman Blakesley.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Councilwoman Woods.
Nothing, thanks you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Lewis.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, I have no comments either, so this meeting is adjourned.